Welcome to the Heart-Centered Entrepreneur Podcast. I want you to be rich. Yes, I want abundant financial success for your business. But I don't just care about your business making money. I care about you too. I want you to be rich in happiness, in the impact you make, in your relationships, and in how you give back. I'm Anna. I built my six-figure business as a side hustle while I was pregnant with my daughter in 2016. Now I've helped dozens of women do the same. I'm here to help you build a profitable, heart-centered, fully booked business with the latest tips on sales and visibility, with proven mindset hacks, and sneak peeks behind the scenes with what's working right now in the online space and in my business. Ready to make more money with heart? Let's go. So excited to chat with you today. I'm actually recording this podcast from my bed, and I've had my business for 10 years. I don't think I've ever recorded a podcast episode from my bed. I've recorded them from my car, from probably every other room in my house. But I just thought this would be interesting. And I was thinking back to some of the questions that I had and literally Googled at the start of my coaching business. And I had so many questions. I would say I felt stuck and paralyzed for probably a good 3 to 6 months at the start of my business, Googling things, downloading freebies. I call it a freebie hangover because I would late at night download people's freebies. And then in the morning, I would have all these freebies in my inbox. And I'm like, who downloaded these? Oh yeah, it was me, right? And it was just this searching and consuming. And, I don't give myself flack for it, but I really was in this mode of panic and anxiety and really loved my work as a therapist, but also felt like maybe it wasn't giving me what I needed to as I was pregnant and as I needed more freedom and flexibility. And I just remember so many questions I had. So I thought about one of them I asked, literally Googled, how do I sign clients without selling? And I've been thinking about this question a lot lately because I feel that at the core, as a heart-centered entrepreneur, what is a heart-centered entrepreneur? A woman that wants to make money in an online business, but also wants to do it with heart and integrity. Number one, in the way that she serves her clients, she wants to make sure she's doing work that feels honest and ethical and aligned, that she feels passionate about, that she feels excited about. Because for me, my day job wasn't that bad. And so for me to go from good to great, right, I really was being picky. And I just want to say there's something wrong with you for being picky. It's not a bad thing, right? But I think for me, I was I have my wish list. I want my work to be aligned. I want to feel good about my work, but I also want to it's just not about me. I want to make sure the clients I'm serving are number one, getting results, number two, having a good experience and being delighted in my business, right? I work with a lot of clients that say oh, I'm scared to hire a team because I don't want to give them the bad experience I had when I was an employer of someone, right? And I think it's the same thing with sales. We're really nervous to be salesy, whether it's on Instagram or on a webinar or whatever, because maybe we had a bad experience with sales. And I know for me, it was just a skill set that I literally never learned. I never learned how to sell myself, right? I was a great product. In my different jobs, in office jobs and in restaurants, and I was a great money maker for the business owners. And what I just wish I could lovingly hold heart-centered entrepreneurs' cheeks and tell them is if you don't figure out the skills of marketing and sales and visibility, someone else with those skills is going to make a lot of money off of you. A lot of money off of you in your lifetime. And so I feel the biggest thing you can do for yourself skill-wise, and I wish they taught us this in university, is how to market and sell yourself, because that is how you make money off of you. You are a great product. You have a lot of heart. You have a lot of skill. You're good at what you do. Maybe you're a creative interior designer. Maybe you're a brilliant accountant. Maybe you're an amazing lawyer, but if you don't have the skill of selling and presenting yourself, you're going to work for someone else, right? And I have been telling my mastermind clients lately, think about it Coca-Cola, right? They have one department that is manufacturing the product and the scientists that are figuring out the formula for the perfect, delicious Coca-Cola. And then they have a completely different department that's in charge of marketing and sales. And when we are marketing and selling ourselves as a coach, we really have to put on a different hat. And I wish someone would have told me this at the start of my business, right? Because I was asking the question, how do I get clients without selling? What I was saying is the Anna who is a coach who loves to sit with women on Zoom and just all focus on them and listen to them and make it be about their experience. The furthest thing from my mind is sales. The furthest thing from my mind is me and my money. What I'm thinking about is them and their experience and helping them change and grow and challenge them. Like I am in coach mode, right? And if you're a designer, you're in design mode. How can I design this most beautiful website or whatever, right? And I wish someone would have told me, Anna, it's okay for you to change your hat when you are doing client acquisition, right? And I think for me, I was so worried about, I was also like in a season of like having almost like an existential crisis because I was having my second child and I was having challenges in my marriage. And so I think I was actually looking for my business to scratch when I was like narrowing my niche and creating my little one-liner. I think I was also looking for it to fulfill me and itch scratches that I had that my business wasn't designed to, like therapy is designed to do that, right? And so I think I wish I would have given myself permission to like, Anna, when you are in the sales department, when you are writing a sales email or you are on a sales call with someone, it's okay for you to put on that hat and not for you to make it necessarily about your coaching work or about your personal fulfillment and identity as a person. Like, let's just talk a minute about, being multi-passionate. I should do a whole separate one on this. But I think for me, because I'm multi-passionate, I was always thinking about like, how do I fit everything instead of like, how do I just be savvy about it? Right. Okay. Anyway, going back to separate roles, separate departments, like that's one thing I think that really helped me when I realized that the skill and who I was as a saleswoman and who I was on a sales call and who I was on a webinar might be a little bit different than who I was as a coach. Because at first, when I did my sales calls, I was just showing up coaching. When I did my webinars, I was just teaching and cramming in a bunch of information, which didn't work for signing clients because then it just gave them a lot of information, which it almost overwhelmed them more. They didn't need more information, right? They needed to be challenged and encouraged to actually get accountability and get coaching, right? And so I think that's one thing that helped me. The other thing that it helped me is when I started to unpack and realize that a lot of the things under the umbrella of sales were skills that I already had. And if you watch my sales masterclass, I teach that there's 3 distinct skills under the umbrella of sales that help you make sales without feeling like you're selling, right? Because sales is this umbrella term, but under that, I really feel like are these 3 little skills. If you read any like bro marketing sales book, you're going to find a version of these 3 skills. And spoiler alert is we're already good at these skills as heart-centered entrepreneurs. Have you ever read like a bro marketing book or a book that's like, how to, make friends or how to influence people? You all read that one, right? And it's basically like, listen, care, be kind, ask questions, and like all the things that come natural and authentic. Like we don't have to fake it. Like these are all just like things that we are. So when I realized like underneath the word sales was just these 3 main concepts that actually came nearly natural to me, I really had an aha moment. That's what made me kind of like passionate about sales is like, if heart-centered entrepreneurs only knew, like we are the best at not just serving our clients, but selling because of these 3 things. That really like blew my mind and like instantly changed how I felt about sales, instantly started changing the results I got in sales. And I was like, I just have to tell everyone about this because here we are, heart-centered entrepreneurs thinking we're bad at selling. We're not. We're actually the best at it if we don't get in our own way. So I want to talk briefly about those 3 skills just because I can't talk about them enough. I think they're so important. But I also think just like reminding yourself, like, this is going to be a new skill. This is going to be a new thing. And for me, still to this day, I'm 10 years in business. I'm still stepping into sales more, right? On this last launch I did, I challenged myself, right? Like, okay, Anna, like, I know that your coach hat really wants to like give value and help and great, but the most help you can do is selling people into your programs where you can actually help them long-term, right? And so I really challenged myself to really sell in the sense of like, less giving random value and more talking through objections or things holding my clients back from going all in on. I teach the 3-day work week. So, really helping them see that the 3-day work week is possible, all of that stuff. And the launch went really well. And it was just a reminder to myself that it's safe to keep leaning into sales, right? Okay, so let's talk about the 3 skills. Skill number one is listening. And to be transparent, this is something that I still to this day work on in my business. When I first started coaching, I put a sticky note on my computer with the word listen to remind myself, Anna, listen. Anna, be present, right? When we are anxious, when we are overthinking, when we have imposter syndrome, all the things at the start of a business or any business shift, right? We are nervous. We are thinking about ourselves instead of being present and patient and actually listening and helping someone feel seen and heard. My therapist told me something really cool the other day, which is like, Anna, in relationship, like what matters is really like the version we feel like we are when we're with that person. Right. And so when someone's on a sales call with us, that's really what we're trying to do is really help them be the version of who they want to be. And like, let's say we're a health coach, right? Or we're a whatever relationship coach or business coach or life coach, doesn't matter what niche it is, right? But I think the person that's wanting to make a big change in their life, right? The cool thing about our role as a coach is we really hold the belief and evidence for what's possible for them while they're still questioning it. Well, they're still wondering, or they'll still like, oh, I want this thing, but I've tried to and I haven't gotten this thing. And is this possible for me? And as a coach, we're able to hold that space of like, yes, I 100% believe this is possible for you. Yes, you can do this. And I think it's so important that even holding that space, like we've all had like a friend or a coach, right? Where when we're with them, we feel good, right? Because of who they believe us to be. They believe in us and they see things in us and they're there present with us and they're listening and paying attention to us and holding that space for us. And I think that's the number one thing we can do in a sales call. In my sales call masterclass, I have this like big script and all these reminders, but I always say like the number one thing you can do in sales is listen and be present because the right client, their intuition is going to like lead them to work with you and lead them to that work, right? And so really you just have to help them clear the clutter and the noise and the fear. And this is true like not just on sales calls, but on webinars and in sales emails and like where are we, chatting and where are we just like leaving space and silence? I've been thinking about this more even with my emails. Like how do I make my emails shorter? Like, how do I leave more room for my potential client? In my course, Get and Coach, where I teach women in 12 weeks how to sign their first 5 paying clients, I talk about this too because the first half of the program is marketing skills, how to get your client. The second half of the program is business techniques for running a coaching business, onboarding, offboarding, and also skills for coaching. And in my coaching skills workbook, there are 35 skills, but skill number one, I say if you forget the rest of this workbook, do not forget skill number one, which is listening. So, do you hear what I'm saying? When I teach women sales and when I teach women coaching, I'm basically saying forget it all if you need to, but don't forget to listen. And what is listening? Listening is being present with someone, not being caught up in the past, not being caught in the future. And this is not just the client's past and future. This is your past and future. So let's break that down for a second, right? Because I don't think I've talked about it this way before. But when I'm saying a sales call, but this applies to all sales things, right? When I'm on a sales call with someone, how do I for a second not think about my past in the sense of like, oh, I just did another sales call and I didn't convert it. And what if I'm bad at sales or all that stuff, right? And also my future, like what do I need to get to after this call and what's happening and all that stuff, right? But also the client, right? Like when a client fills out a pre-survey, I love that because it gives me context, but I also don't take it too seriously because a lot of times like they can be afraid or like people are like, "Oh, on this thing they put they can't afford it, so it means I shouldn't even take the call," or right? Like don't take what the client said in the past too seriously and don't take the future too seriously in the sense of like, are they going to work with me right now? Right. I don't care if the person works with me right now or in 3 months. Like that detachment, I think is so useful. Right. Um, but really being in the present of like, here we are right now. And how can we explore, right? what you want. Like, what is your desire? What are your fears around your desire? And we do not create space for this because it's scary. It's scary to ask ourselves, what do I want? And what's holding me back from what I want? Right? What do I want right now? That question, I have one of my favorite affirmations is it safe for me to know exactly what I want and to ask for it directly? Because for a long time, I wasn't even sure what I wanted, right? And then once I was sure, I was nervous to ask for it, right? From people or from myself. And so I think it's just a very tricky thing to want something and not have it yet and be in that tension. That's why we have coaches, because in that tension of wanting something and getting something, there's time, right? There's usually 90 days, there's usually 6 months, and it's not fun. It's uncomfortable, and we're challenging ourselves and we're growing. And why would we change when we could just stay the same and stay lightly miserable, right? Usually we're like not in the worst situation, we're going from good to great. And so it takes a lot of self esteem and guts to say it's safe for me to go after something that I want that I don't have right now, that maybe I've tried to get and I haven't gotten and I failed and I feel like I suck and maybe I'm in debt and maybe like plans aren't going how I'd like, but I'm going to try again. I'm going to get up again. That resilience, that grit, I feel is not taught to us in school, right? And I think actually the world is becoming softer. And I don't mean softer in a good way. I believe in like soft energy, blah, blah, blah. But I think we're becoming less resilient. And I think we're like babying ourselves too much, especially as heart centered women. And like, I think that we're actually pretty tough, like, especially when it comes to what we're passionate about, especially what comes to what's important in the world, what matters to us, right? For me, it's like my kids, my family, like social and political causes, like that matters to me. And I'm willing to be uncomfortable. Yes. Yes. Yes, I am. And I think we forget like our purpose, our passion, our alignment, like why we're here, what's bringing us here. And I think when we channel back to that, that becomes a little bit easier. Okay, I digress. Okay, so that's skill number one is listening. How do we listen and be fully present? How do we allow for awkward pauses? How do we not just listen to what our potential client is saying, but how do we listen between the lines and reflect back and be like, I'm hearing you say this. I'm wondering if you're meaning that. Is that true? And it's just a gift. Like, I know the times that my girlfriends have listened to me, it's just been like, I feel like I'm half fixed, right? Like, because our potential client isn't just being listened to by us, but they're listening to themselves. And it's a safe space for that. Okay. Skill number two is leading. 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 Yes, heart centered entrepreneur, you are a leader. You are a leader. You are a leader. And I know you know that. But what do I mean by that? Someone that has a voice. Something really shifted for me when I felt like, stereotypically, like, protecting and providing, those are like traits of men. And then I realized like, oh my God, like the women I know are the most like protective providers I know. And I really think of that as like leadership. We think of like men as leaders, but I really feel that women are such strong, embodied, grounded, ethical, heart centered leaders. What do leaders do? Leaders direct, leaders take a stand, leaders are willing to stand up for things. And this is really interesting. I always ask my clients, like, how much do you feel like you coach in the sense of like you ask questions and you reflect back? And how much do you like strategize and lead your clients and serve as that mentor role and serve as a role model and serve as someone who challenges? And I really think that that's the beauty of coaching is we can really lead and provide alternate perspectives, especially when it comes to things that systemic things like the patriarchy that keeps women small. It's safe for us to lead and for us to challenge our clients' beliefs and say, have you thought about it this way? Right? Did you know that it's safe for you to do this? Right? My coach really encouraged me, Anna, it's safe for you to, start saving your own money, open a bank account in your own name. Right? I didn't feel ethically okay with that because I grew up in a very conservative Christian culture that said like women need to be submissive, women shouldn't be able to manage their own money, all of that stuff. Right? And it really was through my coach over my last 10 years has given me a lot of direct permission. She hasn't forced me, but she's really provided me with alternative viewpoints. And I think as a coach, it's one of the most beautiful things we can do in our clients coaching them, but also in sales, right? Saying, yes, it's safe for you to trust yourself and invest in this if this feels aligned for you. right? And maybe even talking about your own experience investing and talking about your own experience taking risks as a coach. I do a lot of leading in a sales call. And I used to say, like, oh, is that bad? Because like I'm trying to sell someone into paying me money. But I would never force someone to work with me. I would never guilt someone or shame someone or like, if you don't take out your credit card right now, you're screwed. No, none of that. Right. And so I think I was swinging the other way and not even being willing to say, like, yes, this is a great deal because when you sign up for my coaching, I will show up for you 100%. Like, do not go sign up for some other coach that is not going to do you right. I will do you right. I will show up for you, and really advocating and leading in that way really changed the game for me, and trusting, letting go of codependency and trusting that the person on the other side of the sales call is a healthy person and can say no if they don't want to work with you, right? But really being able to lead and challenge. And you may, let's say you're a health coach, you may be the only one in their life that's telling them some of these truths, right? If you're a relationship coach, you may be the only person that's telling them some of this stuff. And so it's safe for you to be that person to bounce things off of, to be that mentor, to be that leader. Maybe even put your hand on your heart and say right now, like, it's safe for me to lead. It's safe for me to have a voice. It's safe for me to have an opinion. It's on social media. Like, it's safe for me to be divisive, right? It's safe for me to show up with heart and integrity and speak my truth that I know to be true. And hold it lightly, knowing that people can agree or disagree with me, hire or not hire me. But one thing I'm not going to do is shrink back. Okay, last one is coaching, right? So I love to use the skill of coaching in sales, which is basically like asking really good questions, right? I need to talk with my husband before I invest. Great, no problem. I think that's awesome in partnership, making financial decisions together. How do you feel that conversation will go? Oh, I feel it'll go great. Or, oh, I'm really nervous because I blah, blah. Like asking good questions. I think we think about objections and we think that we have to like solve everyone's problems. So much of coaching is just asking questions and being curious and just really wondering, right? Wondering. Something that my therapist says that I love is just like, yes, that makes sense to me why you're thinking and feeling that way. Why is that true for you? Or just getting curious, just wondering, just asking questions. Why do you want to lose weight? Why do you want to find a partner? Why do you want to start your online business? Why do you want a new website, right? What's your helping someone understand their motivation, their intention, their reason is useful because maybe it's a bad reason and maybe they shouldn't hire you, right? Maybe it's a great reason and maybe they should. But I really feel like getting back to the core of asking good questions, reflecting back is so useful in sales. And when I realized that I could coach in sales, it's not the only part of sales, but it's a big part of that. It really shifted and changed for me. And I started seeing sales, right? When someone goes from like not working with you to working with you as a transformative process in itself, right? Because someone is saying yes, not just to your program, but they're also saying yes to the shift and the change and going all in for like 90 days or 6 months on that thing that you provide support with. And so for me, I was like, ooh, this is exciting because it's their chance to put a line in the sand and say yes, right? To say yes for these 3 months. I'm going to work on this thing that I want, that I'm terrified for. I'm going to work on writing my book, right? I'm going to work on running this marathon. I'm going to work on this goal and I'm going to do it with intention and I'm going to do it with support. And I'm scared, but I'm excited and I'm going all in. Okay, hope this was helpful for you. So the short answer is, do you have to sell to get clients? Kind of, you do, but you could also think of it as, no, I don't really need to sell. I just need to listen to people. I just need to lead people and stand in my strong leadership. I just need to coach people and ask good questions. In my sales call masterclass, I talked to you about how to use those 3 skills through every part of the process, right? And so it really is as simple as that. Again, maybe you've had like bad associations with the word selling, but it's really more about like, how do I use these skills? That just changed the game for me. I'm like, oh, is that it? Is that it? Is that it? It's not that bad. I have a free class, a free on-demand workshop called How to Sign Your First 5 Clients with One Simple Strategy. And if you align with my heart-centered approach of selling, you're going to love this class. I talk about my number one favorite sales/marketing strategy. Actually, I use this simple strategy to get my first clients to fully book in my business. And I really like it. It's an organic strategy. It doesn't use paid advertising. You do not need to live on social media all the time. It's a great heart-centered strategy. And so if you want to learn about it, sign up for the free class. I will put the link in the notes. But just want to say, if you're a heart centered entrepreneur, don't give up. We need more of us, people that actually care and serve, care about our work, are lightly obsessed with our work. Our work makes us cry. We're passionate about our work, but we also need to sell our work. We also need to market our work. We also need to get people into it. And if you know me, I love teaching women to do it on a 3-day work week, right? It's safe for you to get really good at marketing and sales so that you can just sell for a little bit of your week, and then you can serve your clients and you can fit it all in on a few hours, 20 hours or so a week, right? Otherwise, what happens is you're working a lot of hours because you're spinning your wheels marketing, you're spinning your wheels selling. None of that. None of that. None of that. Okay, wishing you a beautiful rest of your week, and thank you for tuning in. Thanks for hanging out today. Please hit that subscribe button so you can make sure to stay updated anytime a new episode drops. And I would love for you to join me in my free Facebook community. It's called The Heart-Centered Entrepreneur. We discuss the podcast episodes. I regularly go live and do free trainings. And you may even meet your newest biz bestie. So you can join at heartcenteredcommunity.com. It's absolutely free, and I cannot wait to see you in there.